This is RTV6 News at Noon, working for you.
Just days after the mayor announced it would be coming down, a monument that's drawn controversy and in some cases vandalism is leaving a city park. Its departure happening as Black Lives Matter protests continue almost daily. Good afternoon, I'm Meredith Barrick. It is the latest U.S. monument tied to the Confederacy to be removed following the near-daily protests that are happening in cities all across the country. And the city of Indianapolis didn't waste much time moving it. Our Alyssa Donovan is live at Garfield Park. That is where crews today took down the Confederate memorial that had stood there for more than 9 decades. Alyssa.
Yes, Meredith, and they're still working on removing that. And let me show you behind me where that stood. Crews showed up here just a few hours ago, and they've been working to dismantle the monument that some had wanted to see moved for years. The 35-foot monument originally served as a grave marker for Confederate prisoners of war who died while imprisoned at Camp Morton in Indianapolis. But it was moved to the public park in 1928. At that time, many elected officials here in Indy and across the state had close ties to the Ku Klux Klan. The Indianapolis Parks Board passed a resolution to remove the monument in 2017, but only after money to pay for it was secured. But that didn't happen until last week, after the city had seen days of protests calling for racial justice and an end to police brutality. The removal is being funded by the Indianapolis Local Public Improvement Bond Bank, and the monument will be kept in a city storage facility. That's according to the mayor's office, and you can see they are still in the process. They are loading these pieces onto trucks, and we've talked to a couple people here today who are not too happy about this. They say that this is dismantling a part of history, so there is a mix from both sides on feelings about this monument being removed. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. We don't know yet whether more protests are planned for downtown later today. Over the weekend, a number of protests against police brutality were held all across central Indiana. There was a massive sit-in at the State House on Saturday, followed by a peaceful demonstration that continued even after the city's curfew began that night. Protests also took place in the suburbs in Fishers, Noblesville, and Brownsburg. And on Sunday morning, Indy 10 Black Lives Matter organized a loud car protest on the north side through the neighborhood where the mayor lives. The group has said the demonstrations will continue until they get more answers on last month's police shooting of Drejon Reed. And all those folks that were out this weekend, Todd, they were out in the heat, and that warm weather continues as we start our work week.
Yeah, you know, it's carried right over here into this Monday, Meredith. You're exactly right. The good news is, even though it was warm this weekend, we enjoyed low humidity, and that is carried over as well. And take advantage, because big changes are going to start to occur in the forecast starting tomorrow. Right now, we're sitting at 80 degrees in Indianapolis, 82 degrees in Bloomington, 80 as well in Martinsville, as well as Greencastle, and 85 as you make your way up into the Lafayette area. Downtown to the north, not a cloud in the sky, and that's the way it's going to remain for a good chunk of the afternoon. Although as we get towards the late afternoon, early evening hours, you do notice already some of these clouds that are part of Tropical Storm Cristobal starting to make their way into southern Indiana. The precipitation is going to hold off until tomorrow, but tomorrow's going to turn into a very muggy, a very windy day with the potential of severe weather. So that's why I take advantage of today. Climbs up to about 88 degrees for your high temperature, but there's a bit of a breeze, and with the low humidity, it doesn't feel all that bad out there. As those high clouds increase this evening, we'll talk more about the impacts of Cristobal coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Even as weekend demonstrations were peaceful, Metro Police had to deal with a series of gunfire during the late night and overnight hours. A series of shootings left 2 people dead, at least 6 others injured. The first call was a double shooting around 11 last night on MLK, just north of downtown. 1 person was killed, another left in critical condition in a shooting that happened at a large gathering. The next shooting happened at an apartment on Canary Court, where a man was found dead. Then officers were called to East Washington Street, where a woman was shot and wounded. Then another woman was shot at a party on North Tibbs Avenue. Later, a person walked into Methodist Hospital with a gunshot wound. And finally, police say a person was shot on West 20th Street. So far, no arrests have been made in any of these shootings. Just into the RTV6 newsroom, the newest coronavirus numbers from the state health department. 14 new deaths being reported. That brings the state's official total to 2,135. Only 244 new cases of COVID-19 have been added to the state's total. It remains to be seen whether that lower number is a trend or if it's connected to the weekend when reporting of cases tends to be lower. Tonight, the City County Council in Indianapolis will consider a major spending package. It covers how the government will spend some of the money it's getting from the federal government as part of a massive stimulus bill. Today, Mayor Joe Hogsett and others broke down their plan on how the money would be spent. In all, almost $80 million will go toward masks, COVID testing, as well as rent and food assistance for residents. But the mayor says the city will need more.
Now, I'll admit, that sounds like a lot of money. And it is. But when you consider the scope and the scale of what our city continues to confront as the result of the COVID-19 outbreak, it is clear that these dollars will be helpful, but not sufficient.
The city has received almost $170 million in federal coronavirus aid so far, but the mayor's office says it doesn't want to spend all of the money immediately, saying the economic impact will likely stretch into future years. The package also includes financial help for Lawrence, Beech Grove, Southport Speedway, and Cumberland. The council meets tonight at 7 o'clock. There are a lot of great online shopping options, but there are some that are simply out there to take your money and not deliver anything in return. Next, a warning from the Better Business Bureau about one site that's generating a lot of complaints. No complaints about the weather, though, Todd.
Not today, Meredith. We're enjoying the sunshine, low humidity, and temperatures climbing through the 80s. Hard to believe the weather's so nice today. And down to our south, we have a tropical system, and that is going to bring wind and rain and the potential of even some tornadoes to central Indiana come this time tomorrow. We'll talk all about it coming up in Maine weather as the news at noon continues right here on RTV6.
Greatest seasons ever premieres tonight on ABC.
Online shopping has become even more popular during the COVID-19 pandemic, but some websites have deals that are just too good to be true. Tim Maniscalco with the Better Business Bureau has more on one site you should avoid.
Yeah, you know, we all like to shop online, try to get deals, and there are some great deals out there, but we've had some reports of some websites, particularly one called whalegot.com, that has things that are just incredibly low priced, but people have not had very good luck at all with this company. We've had reports where people have ordered something like power tools or items like that, and instead they get shipped sunglasses or a wallet, something like that. Once again, these people are promoting incredibly great prices and getting shipped things that have no relationship to what it is that they actually want to get. We've actually checked this company out. They had one address that was listed in Lafayette, Indiana. That address didn't actually exist. And this particular website has a bunch of different websites that are also related to it. We believe that this is a company that is based out of China, but just be very, very careful if you go to a website called whalegot.com. You're going to see some unbelievable prices out there. I would shy away from shopping here because we have not had good reports from people that have bought from this particular company.
Great advice, Tim. Thank you. For years, he was the best in Indiana and the best in the world. Coming up, we look back at the life of the man who would be denied the ultimate prize due to fate and politics. And this is a live look over the Circle City right now. Not a cloud in the sky. Pretty incredible for this Monday afternoon. Meteorologist Todd Clausen will join us after the commercial break with more on your forecast. You're watching the news at noon on RTV6.
To Keller and Keller.
In the late 1970s, you may think this guy was the big man on campus at Indiana State University. But there was one guy who was even bigger, even though he was just 5'5". Kurt Thomas was the biggest and perhaps the only truly worldwide star in men's gymnastics. First, though, Kurt took over the campus in Terre Haute. His impact on the men's gymnastics team was immediate. They were national champions his sophomore year in 1977. The next year, year, Kurt Thomas would make history. This floor exercise routine brought him a gold medal at the World Gymnastics Championships. It was the first one ever for a U.S. man. The following year, Thomas stunned everyone. He won 6 medals at the World Championships, a record that still stands today. It wasn't even tied until Simone Biles did it 2 years ago. Kurt also invented 2 moves. The most famous, the Thomas Flare on pommel horse and floor exercise. He was still a sycamore. Back in Terre Haute, he won more NCAA individual championships during his senior year, but Kurt by that time was also a worldwide star, mainly because of a Saturday staple right here on RTV6.
This is ABC's Wide World of Sport.
He was set to dominate the 1980 Summer Olympics in Moscow, but politics would get in the way.
President Carter won a major victory today in his bid to boycott the Moscow Olympic Games because of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan.
The U.S. would not go to the Olympics. Kurt Thomas would then turn pro, something that disqualified you from the Olympics back then. He tried to make it in Hollywood,
Jim Carter.
but the world wasn't quite ready for martial arts fights on pommel horses. When professionals were formally allowed in the Olympics in 1992, Thomas tried to make a comeback at the age of 36, but he did not make the U.S. national team. Other than opening a gymnastics school with his wife, Kurt Thomas largely stayed out of the public light afterward. 2 weeks ago, he had a stroke caused by the tear of an artery in his brainstem. He died last Friday. He was 64. He did not have an Olympic gold medal, but Kurt Thomas was still the best in the world, a Sycamore legend, and to this day, the best male gymnast this country has ever seen. Ray Steele, RTV6.
Ray, thank you. As we head into our Monday afternoon, we want to check in with meteorologist Todd Clausen. Todd, things are warming up out there. What can we expect for the rest of our day?
You know, temperatures climbing into the 80s here. You're exactly right, Meredith. It's going to be a warm one. The good news is the humidity today is still in check, so you can get out there and enjoy a fairly comfortable air mass. Here's our dew point scale. And anytime your dew points get up into the 70s, it is getting very humid to oppressive. Today, we're in the mid-50s, but look what happens tomorrow. We are up in that 70-degree range as we get into a very, very tropical air mass. So temperatures tomorrow are going to be similar to today, but it's going to be a lot more uncomfortable out there tomorrow because those dew points are going to be much higher. Now, the view outside from downtown to the north shows nothing but clear skies. Temperatures already at 80 degrees in Indy as well as Muncie, 82 in Bloomington. And highs today will be going into the upper 80s to low 90s across most of the area. So it's a very, very warm day. But again, the humidity is low and there's a bit of a breeze that's going to help things out during the course of the day today. But just down to our south, this is the remnants of what was Tropical Storm Cristobal. And this is going to continue to lift to the north. Now, the center of the storm circulation is going to go through Arkansas over towards the Missouri area, and then eventually it's going to make its way up into western Illinois. So we're going to miss the direct impact in the center of circulation. But with that said, a lot of times these tropical systems, their outer feeder bands, especially on the eastern side of the system, contain quite a bit of severe weather and some rotating storms, and that's what's going to lift through our area during the day tomorrow. Now, outside of any storm chances, it is going to be very windy, and it's also going to be very humid, as I mentioned. Wind gusts will probably get up to about 40, maybe even 50 miles per hour. That's outside of the thunderstorms. That's for everybody. But then we'll get into the potential for a few of these strong to severe storms. They all come in during the afternoon hours. We're dry throughout the morning. These storms will start to rotate through during the afternoon and evening hours. They should be pretty spotty, but if you do see them, some very heavy rainfall for a brief period of time. And again, some isolated tornadoes will be possible with some rotation as they lift through the area. So we are under the slight risk for severe weather for much of the state. It's mainly from Indianapolis off towards the west. To the east, it's a marginal risk. High winds for everybody throughout the day tomorrow. And again, the chance of a few isolated tornadoes will be a possibility. Some showers linger into into Wednesday. Wednesday's breezy as well, but a little bit cooler at 79 degrees. And then Thursday starts a great stretch of weather once again, Meredith. That's going to take us all the way into the weekend. The humidity's low. Temperatures a little cooler than they've been running in the upper 70s to low 80s. But again, the main part of this forecast we'll need to focus on is going to be especially tomorrow afternoon as some of these storms move through, and we have also those very windy conditions.
All right, Todd, thank you. Great brunch weather, and that's something some of us might like to do on occasion, but 100 years ago, that would more likely have been going for afternoon tea. There aren't many places that still offer a proper tea service, but in Greenwood, you can find a great cup and a great collection of history. Brad Brown has a look.
Taking a step inside this historic house in Greenwood's Old Town neighborhood, and you're taking a step back in time.
Remember the old days when you had the intimate events, when you had the china and the fancy tables, and we like to get dressed up. We like to go out and be treated nice and eat out of a fancy plate or a cup.
Cheryl Lutz-Domi has been welcoming guests into the Sassafras Tea Room for more than 10 years. The century-old home is the backdrop for an elegant setting that has just recently begun welcoming customers back inside.
We've missed our friends. The one lady, I wish I could have videoed her. One day she walked in the door and just screamed. She thinks she'd have won the lottery. She was so happy to get out and come in.
The dining room is spread out over both floors of the house, and service comes on an incredible collection of antique china and heirloom tea sets.
And a lot of it shows up on my doorstep. People don't want it. They don't want it anymore. Their kids don't want it, so they bring it to me, and we repurpose it and use it.
Sassafras is one of very few places where you can still get a proper afternoon tea service. The regular menu features salads and a daily quiche special, along with scratch-made desserts.
Recipes, I just kind of experiment and test, and we've tweaked and adjusted, and I tell her by now the menu the way it is right now, if I take anything off, I would be in trouble.
Oh, it's charming. It's really nice, very nice.
The quiche was wonderful, the best I've ever had. So, yeah, it turned out really well for a surprise visit.
The gift shop offers a wide selection of tea-related items, fresh-baked sweets, and crafts from local artists. After a couple months with no guests inside, this house is back to being a home for a little bit of tranquility.
We call it an oasis. When people leave, they feel like they have been somewhere special because we treat you good, and we become friends with. A lot of them have become my family.
I like the thought of getting dressed up a bit for a proper tea. Cheryl welcomes guests inside Mondays through Saturdays. You can also schedule special events on Sundays. Great space for birthday parties, bridal showers, and more. You can find all of that information on the Sassafras Tea Room website. Online ordering is available, and you can make reservations there as well. Working for you, Brad Brown, RTV6.
Brad, thanks. Love the bow tie. We have more coming up here on the news at noon. A special block gets a big pick-me-up from one of the biggest names in music. We'll also get one more check of your Monday forecast. You're watching RTV6. We'll see you back here after the break.
.com.
They had a simple message: black or white, relax and have a beer. Best friends Benjamin Smith and Marcus Ellis set up in their driveway in Rochester, New York, hoping people would stop by. People did, and their message ended up going viral. Not only did a crowd show up, country music star Brad Paisley heard about it online. So though Brad wasn't in New York himself, he sent over a few dozen cases of beer to Benjamin and Marcus, and he joined the party for about a half an hour in a Zoom call. Brad even took the time to perform a new song called There's No I in Beer. Oh, I think that might be your summertime anthem, Todd.
Right? Sounds good, right? Anybody can deliver free beer to my house, that's for sure. All right, outside right now we are dealing with temperatures warming up to the 80s. We'll have a high about 88 today with low humidity. That's the good news. Tomorrow, 87, but it's extremely muggy tomorrow, very, very windy, and then we'll deal with the potential for scattered storms in the afternoon hours. Wind gusts outside of any thunderstorms could be around 50 miles per hour. This is the remnants of the tropical system moving through. Some showers early Wednesday, breezy, but then a great stretch of weather, Meredith, Thursday through the weekend with lower humidity, lots of sunshine, and temperatures that will be in the 70s and 80s.
Todd, thank you, and thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. We hope to see you back here at 5 o'clock. In the meantime, have a great afternoon.